Hey guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. It is Q&A Tuesday. If you are brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue. I'm a medical coder. I have been a medical coder for over 10 years. Every Tuesday, this is the #1 question and answer show about medical coding, airing on Tuesday. I take all of the questions that have been submitted through viewer comments, from emails, from Instagram, and I put it all into one episode, and here we go. So if you would like to have your questions answered for next week's Q&A Tuesday, I hope you'll comment below or shoot me an email. I'll be leaving my email address down in the description box below. So let's get started. All right, #1. Okay, the AAPC site is only 5 months, the coding only. You said not to trust a school with online schools less than that. With time, I guess, less than that. Is this because it's with AAPC? Do I need to do billing and coding, or can I start with coding? Yes, you answered that, LOL. Guys, please don't misunderstand what I'm saying. When I talk about these accelerated programs and I tell you guys don't do the accelerated programs, I am talking about these programs that are less than 5 months that encompass everything. They say you can learn medical terminology, anatomy, physio, and how to code, and you're going to be on your way to a new career in less than 5 months. That's what I'm talking about. I have never said anything bad about AAPC. I support AAPC. I support AHIMA. Now, I am a member of AHIMA, and I have always talked highly about both associations, and never once have I tried to say anything, well, don't go with them because they're only 5 months. Their coding program is that amount of time. It's very short. But they expect you to either have already had your medical terminology and anatomy and physio, or they have their separate program that you take before you do the coding part. So please do not misunderstand me. If you want to go through AAPC, that is totally fine. If you already have your anatomy and physio out of the way and medical terminology, great. Then do the coding part, because that's essentially all you're going to need to learn, right? And that is understandable because you've already had that time. So realistically, it is still within the time frame that is acceptable to learn everything that you need to know. I say it's 9 months, right? Total time. But, some people, they try to get through these programs very quickly. And that is what I've been trying to tell you guys to be aware of. Whenever you're looking at these programs, and so many of them, they try to romance the people, right? They try to say, well, you can work at home, and this is a great career, and you can be done in less than 5 months, and you're a busy working adult, and you can do this, on your spare time. This is going to take commitment. If you want to learn medical billing and coding, it's going to take commitment. And I'm here to tell you that it's not all rosy and peaches. It's not easy like they tried to make it out to be. Oh, well, you'll use an encoder and it will help you, a computer program to help you to do the coding. Yes, those are out there, but you still have to understand the rules, and you still have to understand a lot of these things that go along with selecting the codes. It's not just selecting codes. It's about understanding why you're selecting those codes. So let me make sure that I say this very clearly. If you are choosing to go through the associations themselves, the American Health Information Management Association or the American Academy of Professional Coders, that is great. They are trustworthy. That is who you want to go through. If the program that you were wanting to go through is less time and it is through somebody else, please reconsider. Ask lots of questions, because these accelerated programs are very expensive as well. So I am trying to get everybody to understand, when you're looking at these programs, read and look at everything. Ask lots of questions. But if you want to go through AHIMA or AAPC, that is absolutely fine. Okay, so next question. Hi, Blue. I'm just starting my medical coding class through AAPC. Would it be possible to get your information and pricing on tutoring? I started following your YouTube videos about a month ago. Thank you for all your advice. Oh, well, thank you very much for subscribing. I'm so glad you're here. So I do offer tutoring, and it's done one-on-one via Zoom. And it is $25 for the first hour and $15 for the second hour. If you are a member of my Patreon channel, and I will leave a link for my Patreon channel down in the description box below. If you are a member of them, you get a $5 discount on the first hour. So it's $20 for the first hour for my Patreons in any level that they subscribe at, and $15 for the second hour. So yes, I am totally open on the evenings during the weekdays after 5:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. And then during the weekends, I'm available pretty much all day. So just keep in mind I'm in the Central Standard Time, but I do work with everybody when it comes to like different time zones. So just let me know. And again, my information will be down in the description box if you are interested. All right, so next question. Hey Blue, I'm not going to give up. It's hard, not easy, but just have to have patience. Thanks for the link on the suffixes and prefixes with the medical terminology studying. It is a manageable class now. Thanks. So guys, I want you to know that when it comes to medical terminology, this is the biggest thing that scares lots of brand new medical coding students, many of whom have never been in the medical field before. They think, do I have to memorize all these words? You do not have to memorize thousands of words, guys. You don't. You know how the best way to learn medical terminology is literally learning your prefixes, your suffixes, and your root words. If you know those, you can piece together any word, and you don't have to memorize thousands of words. Guys, you're wasting your time if you try to memorize thousands of words. You got enough. You have enough on your plate to memorize and remember already. You don't need to add a bunch of words that you may never ever use. So just learn the prefixes, your suffixes, and your root words. And that way you could just piece together any word and you'll be able to understand a lot more quicker what you're reading instead of trying to sit there and say, oh, what does this word mean? You know, so just try to make it easier on yourselves, guys. But always, always, always work on the prefixes and suffixes and root words, because that is a lot easier to work with on your memory than whole words. Next question. I'm a pharmacy tech. Do you think medical billing and coding is a great career switch? I'm really interested. If you're really interested, then go for it. I don't know your background, so I'm going to leave a link for a video. It's considering a career switch to medical billing and coding. I talked about this a couple weeks ago now, I think. And it is a good alternative for people who have been in the medical field previously, because you know, obviously you already have a really good knowledge base. You need to have your anatomy, physiology, medical terminology down. If you have pharmacology, it's even better. But the thing is, you really have to think about what is best for you. Medical billing and coding is not for everybody. And I spend a lot of my time in my videos telling you guys the good and the bad, because I want you guys to make a well-informed decision when it comes to your future. Because as I said just a few minutes ago, this is going to take commitment. If you choose to learn this, if you choose to pursue this as a career, it is very fulfilling, and I will say that. But it takes a lot of work. It's not something that's going to just come to you out of nowhere. I mean, it takes effort on your part to really truly understand what's going on, because we have to know the things that doctors know while never having gone to medical school. And I have always said that. And it's true. You know, we get 9 months, a year, 18 months to learn this stuff. Doctors get 10, 15, 20 years to learn everything that they need to know. So that's why I say it's very important to, if you are going to pursue this field, that you know that it's going to be a continual learning process. It's not going to be that you pass your certification and then you're done. There are people that do that. But I always say that if you want to be a high caliber medical coder, and a high caliber medical coder is somebody that's going to be very valuable for a practice. And if you make yourself so valuable, there is unlimited possibilities for you. That's all I'm saying. Next question. And like I said, I'll be leaving a link for that video in the description box. All right. Next question. Can you jump straight from being a coder to take the CCS? The CCS, if you don't know, is a Certified Coding Specialist, and that is offered with the American Health Information Management Association. The CCS is the gold standard of medical coding credentials. Why? Because this one credential says that you can code both inpatient and outpatient. So this is a very versatile coder. It's not just a coder that is limited to just the outpatient setting. They've been trained on inpatient coding as well. So I've always encouraged you guys to go directly to the AHIMA website so that way you guys can do the research. But I will go ahead and read directly from the website, directly from ahima.org, what the requirements are to sit for the CCS. So it says candidates must meet one of the following eligibility requirements to sit for the CCS examination. Complete courses in all of the following topics: anatomy and physiology, pathophysiology, pharmacology, medical terminology, reimbursement methodology, intermediate/advanced ICD, diagnosis coding and procedural coding, and medical services, CPT/HCPCS. The next eligibility requirement is a minimum of 2 years of related coding experience directly applying codes, or next one is hold the CCA credential plus 1 year of coding experience directly applying codes, or hold a coding credential from another certifying organization plus 1 year of coding experience directly applying codes, or holds the CCSP, the Certified Coding Specialist Physician-based, the RHIT, the Registered Health Information Technician, or the RHIA, the Registered Health Information Administrator credential. So you have had to have met one of those 5 eligibility requirements in order to sit for the CCS. This is not something that you can just take, right? You can't just take this without having met one of those things. So it's either a time-in requirement with your credential, or it is a educational requirement. So if you have any questions, I tell you guys to call AHIMA customer service directly, and they will be able to answer your questions in much more detail. But those are the requirements to sit for the CCS. Next question. Thank you, Bleu, for mentioning the sedentary lifestyle of medical coding that will the sedentary lifestyle that medical coding will give. And we have to be creative and keep moving. Maybe we can code while standing sometimes. So yes, you do sit a lot in this field. You also run the risk of potential eye strain if you do not move your eyes around. I have seen people just stare at the screen and not blink or not move their eyes around. So it's very difficult for them. And it does take a toll on you. I've said it many times that even though we have a intellectual job, it doesn't mean that we don't get tired. And it doesn't mean that the job is not tiring, right? It does get tiring, but that's why you have to be creative. You have to move around. You have to stretch. You have to take care of your body even while you're sitting. Because the thing is, you're doing this 8 hours a day, at least. Some people work 10-hour shifts, okay? So it just depends on where you are and what you're doing. But if you're doing that, just keep in mind that you want to make yourself comfortable. So you make sure that you stretch, make sure that you're eating properly, especially when you're sitting down all day. You don't want to eat anything too heavy. You don't want to be falling asleep while you're reading. So always think about those things. Make sure that you're sitting in a comfortable chair and things like that. So, and that your desk is appropriate ergonomically with the keyboard and things like that. Those are the things that will help. Okay. Next question. Hi, Bleu. Thank you so much for sharing. I decided to go for the CPC, and I don't have any medical sector knowledge. I think I will buy a book on medical terminology and anatomy and physiology and study myself. and then join the online class. Do you think I'm covered? So when it comes to any sort of pre-studies before you get into a program, like if you're going to go with the CPC program online, I think that's really great because it's going to prepare you for what's in store for perhaps going through that course, that anatomy, physiology, medical terminology course. So yes, if you have no previous background and you want to go ahead and do a little bit of pre-study before you get into the program, that is great because it's just going to prepare you even more. I had no previous experience in medical at all when I first started. So I started cold, you know, but I'm a reader. So, I mean, that really did help me. But yeah, if you want to do pre-studies before you get into the program, that's absolutely fine. But if you haven't had any formal training with your medical terminology, anatomy, and physio, it's great that you want to do it on your own, but I really do recommend going through their online program as well, because I know that is an option, and they tell you that you do need it before taking the coding part because it is needed. People think that you can bypass that and just sort of go into the coding, but the coding is going to be understanding what you're reading. And if you don't understand medical terminology and anatomy and physiology, it's not a good situation. So you have to have that first. And that's just my suggestion. Next question. Is medical terminology the same as anatomy? No, it is not. So medical terminology is the words. Anatomy is the body, in the body parts. And yes, the body parts and the body are broken down into medical terms, hence medical terminology, but it is two different things. So anatomy is a study of the body. Medical terminology is the vocabulary of all the words. All right. Next question. I love what you said about learning medical terminology. I took your advice of learning the root words, prefixes, and suffixes. Right on. And I can actually understand the medical report, LOL. But I was wondering, I'm now studying ICD-10 CM coding, and I'm stuck on learning the guidelines. There's so many, and I'm not sure where to start. Any advice? Read. Read, read, read. Literally, that is all the advice I can give you on that one because of the simple fact that when it comes to learning the guidelines, it is going to be about repetition. There was a viewer who commented that she was in the RHIT program, and every week her instructor made the whole class read the coding guidelines. And she was at this for months. So do you think she knows those coding guidelines forward and backwards? Oh yeah, because you still have to go, and that's part of the heavy lifting. And when I talk about doing the heavy lifting, it is doing things like that, taking the time to actually sit down and read the coding guidelines. Because even though it's not going to make sense to you right away, and even though it is so much information, your brain is storing this information whether you know it or not. So even if you're there and you're going through and you're looking at all the words and you're going through the motions of reading it, your brain is still taking it in. Get into these good habits and get into this practice, because knowing those guidelines just by reading and reading and reading and reading is really going to help you. And as the viewer pointed out, that she took my advice and she learned the prefixes and suffixes and the root words, and now she's able to understand the reports. So again, another piece of advice for you guys. Read the guidelines. Just read them once per week. If you do this for 3 months straight, you will have read the coding guidelines 12 times. 12 times. How many people do you know will have read the coding guidelines 12 times? Every week. Once every week. And it's going to get faster. And a byproduct of that is being able to read faster, which is what you want, especially when you're going to go take your certification exam. You want to be able to get through those reports quickly. You want to be able to read quickly and be able to process the information as quickly as you can. And how do you do that? By reading. So reading And learning is like a muscle. You have to work this muscle. You have to do the workouts. How do you get built? How do you get, six-pack abs? You work at it, so it's the same thing with learning these guidelines and things like that. You got to sit there and go through those exercises. You got to go through those heavy lifting things, because that is what is going to help you in the long run. It's just temporary, guys. This time that you're studying and you're learning all of this stuff, it is just temporary. So take the time to learn this stuff now, because like I said, it's going to help you in the long run. When you get out in the real world and you're looking at these guidelines and you're trying to get through these charts, you're going to be so much further ahead than your peers who have not done this. So keep that in mind, guys. Okay, you want to be ahead of the pack, and that is a way of doing it. Okay, so the last question. I'm sitting for the CPB, which is a Certified Professional Biller, offered with the American Academy of Professional Coders. Do I need to pick a specialty before I take my test? No. It's not like how doctors have to pick a specialty that they want to go in and practice and look into and things like that. It's not like that. Being a biller, you have to be prepared for anything and everything, because you don't know what practice you're going to go to, or you don't know what specialty that practice is going to be in, right? What you need to know as a biller is how to process the paperwork, and you have to know the rules. So that is what you're going to be doing. You don't have to pick a specialty. And as medical coders, we don't even pick specialties. Now, there's people who insist on oh, well, I only want to do this specialty, or oh, this one was really easy for me, so I'm going to stick with that one. If you pigeonhole yourself into a certain specialty, right, and you just stay there and that's what you want to do, and you don't want to learn anything else, then it's detrimental to your career, because you're not growing as a medical coder. Now, some people may say, well, Blue, you love orthopedics and podiatry. What about you? I have experience, and I can go anywhere. I can literally start in a new clinic at any time, and I'm not afraid. So I've done it many times. It's just happens to be in my facility. They like me there. So it's not like I haven't had to rescue other clinics before, because I have. And I will continue to do it. And I will help anybody that needs to be helped. And I will help any other specialty that needs helping. And I will help any provider that needs to be helped in any other specialty other than ortho and podiatry. So, and they all know this. Everybody knows this in the hospital. So it's just what I do. But at the same time, I'm ready to do any other clinic, any other specialty. It's fine for me. I'm not afraid. You're going to get there eventually if you have that mentality as well. If you are not afraid, you can do anything. But if you limit yourself, then it's only going to harm you as a coder to be able to learn more and to grow more. Because you never know if you might like another specialty if you don't try it, right? So that's my advice. All right, so pretty good episode, right? So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. I hope you've enjoyed this. And if you are a medical coder, a medical coding student, somebody curious about the fascinating world of medical coding, a provider, or a nurse, I invite you to like and subscribe and follow me on my journey in medical coding. I will see y'all next time. Bye.